Church, what's up?
You already know.
Happy Easter.
Happy he is risen.
He is risen indeed.
Yes.
We had quite a few people in the crowd who knew what to say to that.
They were a rambunctious bunch this Sunday. They were all about
Yeah.
it. Yep,
It
a lot
was
of energy.
fun.
Yep, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's been a while since we took last week off to
Yes.
get ready during Holy Week. So we have celebrated Palm Sunday, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday.
Yeah, and I really hope people got a chance to catch up with all the content we did put out with all of the group leaders doing a kind of walk through the Holy Week. It was so good, really well done, and just thank you to all those leaders who spent time putting that together.
Yeah, that was awesome. Before we dive into the actual message, I was just curious, out of the entire Holy Week, was there anything that kind of jumps out at you that the Lord was kind of putting fresh on your heart or new on your heart around the Easter story?
Yeah, just super hyper-focused on Mary, as, you know, for those of you who were here Sunday, and a little bit
Which
even
Mary?
Friday.
There are like 24
There
of
are
them.
like 24, and everybody wants to make them the same person, and they're not. But Mary Magdalene and her propensity of being at the right place at the right time, and always she seems to be doing the right thing. And it's just a great character study. So for some reason, this Holy Week, she kind of stood out to me. Even we kind of closed our Good Friday with this idea of her waiting at the tomb. One of the only consistent characters that we see in all of the Gospels, waiting at the tomb with an expectation, which just this Holy Week, for some reason, stood out. So yeah, Mary Magdalene waiting at the tomb,
Yeah.
heart set on what the Savior would do.
I love that. For people who may not be as familiar, can you give us like the 2 or 3 sentence bio of who Mary Magdalene is?
Yeah, so what we know about Mary Magdalene before Jesus is fairly concise. We knew that she was a part of a group of women who started following Jesus in the middle of his tour, for lack of a better word there. The Jesus tour came through her town, and there was a group of women who were known as demoniacs, people who were possessed by evil spirits. And the scripture speaks specifically about her being possessed by 7 different spirits. She's not necessarily attached to any family name. Matter of fact, her name really just speaks to the region she's from, which kind of speaks to her being a little bit of an outcast, a little bit of a kind of a loner to some degree. And, you know, being possessed by 7 demons will do that to you.
Yeah. And being saved from that will make you devoted to the person who saved you.
Absolutely. So we see her encounter with Jesus, and then we find her at the foot of Jesus all the time, whether it was him teaching. She was always in the room. We find her at the foot of the cross. We find her at the tomb. We find Jesus revealing himself to her as the first revelation of Jesus after his death and resurrection.
This is all really great, but I got to back up. If Jesus had a tour, what would be on the T-shirt? I did listen to what you were saying, but I was also...
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe some loaves and fishes?
Maybe some loaves and fishes. Maybe some
Sorry, guys. This is the banter that you sign up for on the podcast.
fisher of men. I don't know.
Anyway, that's all I could think of. Once you said Jesus tour, I was like, where can we go with this?
Yeah.
But,
That would be on the T-shirt. No, that's good.
yeah. But
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene, I love the way that you presented her story on Easter. And if you guys were not with us, we missed you, definitely go back and watch, because it was a really powerful way you bridged her story and really made it so that every single person in the room could see ourselves in Mary. And without re-preaching the entire sermon, is there something that stands out? Like if you wanted to kind of have one big takeaway from Mary Magdalene's story, what would that be?
That the gospel is not it's for everybody. There's this exclusivity kind of culture that's been developed even recently in our current climate, our climate politically, our climate socially, even in pop culture. There's the haves and have-nots, and the objective is to clearly delineate what that line is. And it's not just socioeconomic. So we're talking like, this group of people is who I kind of agree with and kind of follow. So we separate and segment. And I'm starting to see more of that when it comes to the gospel. And then when you do a little study, what you'll find is that's not anything new. That since the tomb was open, that we have found people try to hijack the gospel and isolate people. And that's why I love the story of Mary Magdalene, because, well, Mary is marginalized, outcasted, has scars, has a history, kind of has an ugly past, is a loner, just kind of the outside. Technically, according to Hebrew law, she didn't even really have a voice, and yet Jesus revealed himself to her. So it was this Easter in particular was a reminder that the gospel is for all people, and he uses the foolish to confound the wise. Like, that's just a biblical principle that I think we need to kind of attach to the faith and to the church in 2022. There is a group of people that have been marginalized. There are a group of people that feel outcasted. There are a group of people who feel like their history has disqualified them from the gospel. And the beauty of Easter is a reminder that Jesus shows up first to them.
Yeah.
And I love that picture.
And chooses them to share the story, right? Because he sent
Absolutely.
Mary to tell the disciples. He could have just shown up and told them. But I feel like so often we claim something as wisdom or logic and kind of discount ourselves. Even before other people do it, we decide that we're not good enough or skilled enough or wise enough to be the ones that God is going to use. And he just kind of puts all of that to rest at the very beginning of this whole thing by saying, no, I'm going to pick someone that has no right in court to bear witness, that people would not be quick to believe, and this is how the greatest story in the world is going to get into the world.
Absolutely. He entrusts Mary with the first mission of communicating the message of the resurrection, and then turns around and does commission others to do the same.
Yeah, and he does show up later to different people.
Absolutely. But I do believe it's critical that he begins with the marginalized. He begins with the outcasted, because I think people try to hijack the story of the gospel, and it's just not what we read. Like, he won't let it happen because he showed himself first to a woman named Mary.
Yeah. So I feel like we culturally, as people, can get really geared up for holidays, and then as soon as it's over, we kind of move on. And I just don't want to see that happen. What would you say to our church family now that technically Easter is over, Easter Sunday is over, to keep that spirit of celebrating that he's risen alive as we move forward?
Well, I mean, really, even the Easter story isn't the end, it's a beginning. Like, the idea of the resurrection is a beginning. It's a new season. Now there's life and hope to be found. And then in turn, what Jesus does, in order to keep that message of the gospel moving forward, is in part purpose to not just Mary, but then also to the disciples. And we were studying a little bit forward into Acts and the ascension. And even when you read about the ascension, like, everything is about, all right, now you go and tell. Like, you go and tell. Like, you need to tell those who are around you. As you live life, tell those who are around you. And then there's some of you who will go from Jerusalem to Judea. And then there's some of you who go from Judea to Samaria. And, that to me is how you keep the hope in the heart of Easter moving forward. Because I think for some, they think, John, well, the ultimate goal is to get people coming back to a church building. And it's not. If that's the ultimate goal, we've already lost. I do think that the meeting and the collection of the saints is critical, but it's critical for imparting the purpose of the cross. And the purpose of the cross is to go out and tell the world about who Jesus is, in order that they would find life and hope and life, hope, and healing for those who are broken and hurting, for those who are more marginalized, for those who think the gospel's not for them, for those who think that their past disqualifies them. Like, that's the intention. So if we can instill the purpose of Easter into the heart of everybody who came to celebrate Easter, that's how you perpetuate and move forward.
I love that. I mean, that's kind of how I closed the service on Sunday, was just Jesus didn't wait for Mary to understand how he was resurrected or even the full implication before he said, okay, stop clinging to me and go and tell people. And so
Get off me.
we can go right now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably not how he said it. I don't know. Not how I imagine it. We'll have to ask one day.
Yeah.
Well, as we move forward, where are we heading as a church? What are we going to be diving into next?
Yeah, so very good. We're going to take the next several weeks and explore God's plan for you, me, and us. Just this idea that God does have a blueprint for what creation should look like, and he says at the end of it that it was very good. So I do believe that there's a way by which we can learn how to be very good when it comes to our friendships, and very good when it comes to our marriage, and very good when it comes to how we rear children, and very good when it comes to how we work one to another, and one with another when it comes to coworkers, and very good neighbors, and very good moms and dads, and very good friends. So what does that look like, who we are in the scope of that all, and God's plan for it. So I'm really kind of excited. We actually walked through a little bit of that this morning, and I'm getting really excited, specifically even the first week, to kind of step into why we were created. And it's all through Genesis, so we'll do that for the next couple weeks. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. So, guys, we'll be here Sunday morning, 10 a.m. online or right in this building, and we can't wait to see you.
Yeah.